This is your Barbados Today Evening News Update for Wednesday, October 17. So glad you can join us. I'm Fernella Wedderburn. International Business Minister Ronald Toppin today rubbished reports that Barbados has been blacklisted by the Organization of Economic Cooperation and Development. In a report released yesterday, the global watchdog listed the island among 21 countries whose so-called Golden Passport scheme are deemed as threats to efforts to combat money laundering. According to the report, Barbados was named because of its provisions for a special entry and residence permit, which allows non-nationals to enter and depart the island as they wish. Toppin, who is attending the OECD Forum on Harmful Taxation, along with officials from the Ministry of International Business, said they discussed the matter with OECD officials and they were assured that the list was not a blacklist. He added that the OECD is to issue a statement of clarification, which will be forthcoming shortly, and insisted that Barbados is under no obligation to take any measures to change its high net worth individual special entry permit regime. Minister Toppin disclosed that the Director of International Business updated the forum on Barbados's direction with respect to proposed amendments to its legislative regime and received a positive response. Barbados will report again in January 2019. Current returns on investments in renewable energy are below par, and according to business magnate Ralph Busy Williams, if Barbados is to achieve its goal of 100% renewable energy by 2030, there must be a rate increase. Williams shared his concerns at a seminar hosted by the Barbados Association of Professional Engineers at the Savannah Hotel this morning.
The investors in alternative energy are now being paid 41.6 cents per kilowatt hour for our electricity that we are selling to the grid. The grid in September is selling back to us at about 50 cents per kilowatt hour. So that difference, I don't know, anyhow, I don't want to go into a lot of detail on where that is, but I don't think that we should be paid so much less than what we are buying back the electricity at. However, it's even worse than that because the solar electricity is coming on during the day when the peaking turbines are being used and they generate electricity at between 60 and 70 cents per kilowatt hour. So we are being paid 41.6 cents and to replace electricity that is costing about 60 cents to 70 cents a kilowatt hour. Okay. So I'm calling for the implementation of the Hallmeyer report, which specifies for installations up to 500 kilowatts peak, a price of about 50 cents per kilowatt hour.
The Institute of Chartered Accountants of Barbados is giving the government thumbs up for measures under the Barbados Economic and Recovery Transformation Plan aimed at tackling issues of financial accountability within the public sector. Speaking at the launch of this year's Accountants Week press launch this afternoon at the Hilton Hotel, ICAB President Andrew Barthwaite said he expects the new measures will strengthen financial prudence and improve the operations of state-owned entities.
We are also particularly pleased to see a number of measures included in the BIRD plan aimed at increasing oversight of state-owned entities and an action plan for public financial management reform. This will include enhanced monitoring and supervision of public entities, tighter and more precise reporting requirements, and sanctions for non-compliance. There are clearly a lot of shoelaces to be tightened, and we expect that our members will be actively involved in and supporting these activities. The Institute, of course, is available to assist in any capacity.
The Town and Country Planning Office will be relocated. About 2 weeks ago, workers were forced to walk off the job because of environmental woes at the Garrison St. Michael office, which includes mold, structural leaks, rat droppings, and a pungent odor. Assistant General Secretary of the National Union of Public Workers, Wayne Waldron, told Barbados Today a temporary facility is being prepared to house the workers, but he did not disclose that location.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
To the region now, in Trinidad and Tobago, panelists at a discussion on the closure of Petrotrin all agreed that critical socio-economic implications were overlooked in the process. And according to former Senator Professor Patrick Watson, the consequences of the government's decision will sweep through the country like a storm.
Petrotrin may be no more, but discussions over its closure continue.
What we are about to witness is a tsunami that is going to hit South Trinidad in particular, with implications for the rest of the economy.
During a panel discussion last evening, Professor Patrick Watson echoed a familiar sentiment that has been on the tip of the tongue for many. According to him, government's launch of 2 new entities to replace Petrotrin was not the silver lining they were hoping for.
I am arguing then that the exact cause of this exercise is not known. They're trying to make it out that it's the bottom line in Petrotrin, but as you see, it's going to be much, much more than that. This is what the economists call the multiplier effect. It's a negative multiplier effect, in fact, which will cause shrinkage over the things. Some of the direct costs have been known again with a lot of uncertainty. The first figure I heard was 1 billion. Then I heard 2 billion, and then I heard something close to 3 billion.
Weighing in on the conversation, former Port of Spain Mayor Louis Leasing, who said the lack of transparency over the handling of the matter stuck out like a sore thumb. He said the company's closure will set the tone for many more job losses and predicted radical action was needed to avert social and economic collapse.
All these developments taking place, the landscape is not looking grim. It is looking much more than grim. And so what will we do? What can we do? What must we do? I wish to propose to this meeting this evening, and I'm not only speaking to the panelists, that the road ahead requires a political solution. And that is where we will find our salvation.
On the international front in Russia, at least 19 people were killed and dozens injured at a college in the Black Sea region of Crimea today when a student went through the building shooting at fellow pupils before killing himself. More in this report from Reuters Television.
Multiple people have been killed and dozens injured in an attack at a college in the Crimean city of Kerch. Authorities say 18-year-old Vladislav Roslyakov shot fellow students before killing himself. Many of the victims were teenagers. Some had to be taken to hospital by any means possible. The attack is being described by Russian officials as mass murder, but not terrorism. Witnesses described an explosion in the cafeteria, which blew out the ground floor windows of the 2-story college before shooting began.
According to preliminary information, today an unidentified explosive device packed with metal objects went off at a cafeteria of Kerch Polytechnic College. Information about the victims is being checked. Explosive experts are at the scene.
Military trucks and tanks are now stationed in the city. Kerch and the rest of Crimea was annexed by Russia from Ukraine 4 years ago. President Putin has called for a careful investigation into the shooting.
I want to express condolences to the relatives of those who died and express hope that the victims will recover as soon as possible. And we will do everything possible for this.
And that's news, but for the very latest, visit our website at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates and like us on Facebook, and sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Izumi Media and bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. And you can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM. I'm Fernella Wedderburn. Good evening.